Afternoon, everybody. First, I want to just say a quick thanks to the Government of Western Australia through Tourism Western Australia, who were instrumental in the partnership this week to bring UFC 305 to Perth once again. I also want to say thank you to the Western Australian Premier, Roger Cook, and the Deputy Premier, Minister for Tourism, Rita Safiati, who were not only here today, but they were at the open workouts, they were at the weigh-ins, there was support from their teams and them as individuals all week, which is excellent. And then lastly, just in terms of the thanks to the Western Australian Combat Sports Commission led by Anthony Grover, another successful event in Perth. The gate today was $5,477,097. That's USD. The attendance was 14,152. Sold out, slightly larger attendance than last time we were here. The fight of the night, I'm sure no surprises here, Gamrot and Hooker, and the performance bonuses went to Kai Kara France and Carlos Pratis. It was the highest grossing event that we've had at the RAC Arena, and topped all merch records that we've had in this country for the arena shows that we've done. So I'll open up to questions.
Congratulations on a great event.
Thank you.
Talk us through your perspective of it, enjoying the fights, and how you felt the event delivered for the fans.
So, I mean, my perspective, actually not too dissimilar to the last time we were here. I think people were shocked at how early. It was 5:30 outdoors. People were lined up outside, full-strength beers right away. I think by the first fight, we had over 5,000 people in, despite how horrific the weather was outside for a few hours this morning. Event had ups and downs, but generally this trajectory upwards, and I think those last three fights of the main card delivered. Co-main event and the main event were both excellent. The Hooker event was excellent. Yeah, it was really nice being back in Perth. We mentioned it when we were in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, the support that you get when you've got a partnership like this with the government, and it felt this week, not only because of the rugby, but because of 305, there was a great buzz in the city, and we were proud to be part of it.
I think you've only got one more event on the deal with Perth at the moment. Would you guys be? I'm sure that's a conversation to be had, but is there interest from both sides in renewing that and potentially doing this for the next few years?
100%. And there was also, after Elimination Chamber here a few months ago, there's general interest. I mean, in speaking to some of our partners, some of the government representatives over the course of this week, what's clear is that they want Perth to be an international destination for all types of events. Coldplay was here, the rugby was here, we're coming back. They want, WWE back here. So to be a part of that's really important for us. And yes, the conversations will continue.
Do you believe there'll be, there's been talk already of a TKO weekend, right? So you have WWE and the UFC here. Is this town big enough for both of you, or do you think that might be over-delivering for the fans and you need to sort of pick one at a time?
I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I think in terms of the kind of combined product, we could absolutely have a TKO weekend here. They were at Optus last time. We're going to stay at RAC. We're not going to go and do a stadium event. So it could make sense. And the way that the WWE guys have built, their kind of program schedule is you get multiple events. And so maybe there's something that they want to do within Australia for, SmackDown, a PLE, Raw, an NXT event, etc. But for us, our singular focus is to get back to Australia at some point soon or some point early in 2025.
Hi there, just out the back. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Sorry, I'm all the way back here.
That's all right.
For get your attention. Look, we had 3 Kiwi fighters at the top of this ticket. First time it's ever happened in New Zealand and UFC history. When are we going to have the UFC coming back to New Zealand, to Aotearoa?
I wish I had an answer for you. We had some people come over from Auckland today to speak to us, talk a bit about our next trip to New Zealand. I don't have an answer. It's always on the priority list. It's always something that we're reviewing. It's a real non-answer for you, but this isn't one of those situations where we'll just say, oh yeah, we'd love to get back. Like, we want to get back to Auckland. The other thing that I think you probably see, maybe hear about or see on social, is the Kiwi fighters are extremely vocal with Dana and Hunter and Sean and Mick about coming back to Auckland, so that's going to play a major role in the decision, I'm sure, too.
Well, that's awesome to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Mike.
The judge was removed after the split decision in the Tai Tuivasa Rosenstrike fight.
The 30-27?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you just say, did they communicate anything to you and the team as that happened? Anik kind of announced on the broadcast. Just give me your thoughts on that whole situation.
Anik announced he was removed on the broadcast?
Yeah, he's he was supposed to judge the co-main event, and he's been pulled.
So they probably spoke to Dave Lewis. But don't forget that the Western Australian Combat Sports Commission, they're the lead committee here. So they are responsible for those decisions, and I guess someone made the call on, the performance was probably not worth keeping them involved for the rest of the night. So,
Do you think that's stuff, that should happen more often maybe in the sport when there's egregious scorecards like that? Just bench the guy for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's good checks and balances. I think everyone needs to be held to a high standard. It doesn't matter if, like if I don't do my job or you don't do your job, maybe it's good to sit on the bench for a while and reconsider the work, try to figure out how to get back on track and do a better job next time. I think just generally in life, it's a decent principle, but it's not for me to say whether it was right or wrong for the commission.
And you announced the return to Edmonton coming up in November.
Yeah.
Are we going to start seeing probably around 2 events a year in Canada going forward into 2025?
Yeah, at least. Canada's such an important market for us for a number of reasons. It's still one of the major contributors to our overall revenue. I mean, the relationship we've got with Sportsnet now has been great since the beginning of this year, and our pay-per-view business is as strong as it's been in a long time. So yes, at least 2.
Front right here. I know we talked about New Zealand and Canada, but like now with Dricus defending his title, like when are we gonna finally get to South Africa?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I think we're probably closer than we've been in a while, and there's significant interest from a few different countries. The Dricus situation is tough. I mean, he's the champion. Are we going to take a pay-per-view there? It's the same time zone as the UK. We've just done the Manchester event, so it's absolutely possible. But we also want to make a good first impression, right? So if we're coming to continental Africa for the first time, do we want to do an event in the middle of the night? And then there's financial considerations. If it's a pay-per-view event that we're taking to South Africa or another country, what does the gate look like, and how does that compare to the alternative location for that pay-per-view event? One thing that's clear, and I think this, back to Manchester, is if Dana wants to do an event for the fans, for the growth of the sport, despite headwinds or challenges operationally on where the event is and what time it's going to have to be booked, then, he's going to make that decision to do so. So the short answer is that, we've got a few different countries that we're targeting. Nothing to report right now, but, this is definitely a 2025 thing. We don't want to wait much longer.
What's hindering a sorry to your left?
Hey.
What's hindering a stadium in Perth? I mean, we're selling out RAC Arena. What's kind of holding back?
Did you go to the rugby last night?
Yeah, the weather wasn't great, but the WWE came, and that was, they sold pretty well. I would argue that the UFC is more popular than the WWE, even in Perth. So, is there something on your end that's holding the UFC back from a stadium?
I think a few things, and I'm not going to focus on the WWE, but on the UFC side, we've done 5, I think, stadium events in our history. 2 of them have been in this country. I think Curitiba was sort of like an indoor-outdoor, but generally we've done stadium events that have roofs on them. We don't want to take on the risk of weather. The production value or the production cost would be tremendously large if we had to deal with weather, and then you've got the situation of the risk of having a real negative impact on the field of play. Like if that octagon gets wet because of rain, if our equipment gets wet, it just doesn't work out. And I would also argue on the WWE side, they're probably more aligned with a stadium event because of the stage presence. The production is just different than ours. If we had set up an event for Saturday night last night and we had that weather, it would have been a complete disaster. So we're going to make the decision not to go to a stadium that does not have a roof on it.
And just finally, what was your favorite moment from the night?
Was mine?
Yeah.
Oh God, the hooker fight. It was unbelievable. He just there was a moment after the second, you guys probably all saw this, moment after the second where he got cleaned up, Cutman where he got cleaned up, everything was good, and he couldn't get off his chair fast enough to get back to the center of the octagon because he wanted to fight so badly. It was great. It was unbelievable.
And just finally, your personal experience of Perth, did you get any free time, and what did you get up to?
The only free time we had, we spent at restaurants, delivered again, Margaret River's finest. It's great. We love it. The entire delegation, our entire team that's here, enjoys coming to Perth. I mean, any Australian city is high on the list. People take a look at advanced look at the schedule for the year, and everyone's putting up their hand to work this event. All right, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for all your support this week. Another momentous event in Australia, and we appreciate all the support that you guys give us. Thanks, and have a good afternoon.